All right. Okay. More time traveling. Yeah. So it's Thursday, which means it's time for no, not a project time. It's time for a Sabbath cast because it's Sabbath. Before we get into that though, I'm already Naware, your resident witch and creator, Exovital Radius Hand and Denise Divine, where I create myth, magic, and meaning for your everyday life through art, intuition, and energy work. And normally we like to do a little thing called project time today. However, because it's Sabbath, as in the cross quarter, Leo is 15 degrees into the sun, because I like to do the astrological version of the solar holidays. We're going to do that instead. So, Sabbats are just solar holidays. They come from the Celtic tradition. Today is the first harvest. It is Lammas or Lughnasadh. We're just going to go ahead and say that I'm butchering that. I have not gotten around to solidifying my research and finding everything properly pronounced. Also because like the internet's full of lies, like really, and anybody can put anything on the internet, which means it doesn't necessarily mean that it's accurate. So I haven't found a resource yet. I also haven't applied myself to do so. So there's that. But the 8 solar holidays, they refer to the change of the seasons and then the cross quarters, which is about the halfway point between each of the seasons. So you can decide this is a transition day between summer and fall, which will happen in September. Solar holidays usually get all the buzzwords, everybody pays attention to, because the sun is the center of the universe and it's kind of like a big fucking thing. And, seeing as how it has to do with our harvest and our crops and the climate and weather that we have to deal with, the seasons, it's, kind of super important. So I like to acknowledge it. It's part of my practice. But I also like to share what you can do, what things you might want to consider doing. I just got another idea. Okay. Ooh, fancy. So I'll have to see. Can I put this somewhere? Let's see. Nope. Okay. Yay! I just got like another idea of something to do so that we can make these posts better, because that's something I'm going to start working on here soon. I've been meaning to work on it. I've been doing a very good job though. I'll admit to that. So let's see what we got here. Alright, we've covered that. Okay, so Lughnasadh, like I said, is the halfway point between summer and autumn. It's the first of the 3 harvests. The second harvest is the fall equinox, and the third harvest is Samhain. I've heard it pronounced like 8 different ways. And the thing about harvest is this is when you start to bring in the fruits of your labor. So all the hard work that you've done up to this, point in the year, you get to start to pay off. Usually this harvest is associated with grains, so breads and whatnot are very popular around this time. So something to think about. I like to also look at where the sun and the moon are hanging out. Of course, because it is the cross quarter day and it is Lughnasadh, it is the sun is still in Leo. We're in Leo season. It's 15 degrees. And Leo is generous and magnanimous. It is playful. It is happy. It's happy-go-lucky to a point. It is also generous and creative and lucky. Well, you can say there's a degree of luck there. So the other thing we like to look at is the moon. And as with yesterday, the moon is still in Pisces. So Pisces is the dreamer. It goes on flights of fancy and maybe a little disconnected from reality. But as we come to the close on things, it's fun to kind of dream and vision about what's next. And so that energy is also present today. And I would say that that's important. Yeah. So the last thing I like to look at is the numerological energy of the day. I like to spend most of my time here because I'm, focus most of my energy being a numerologist. Anyway, Numerologist. I don't know. Either one works, really. So the first three numbers I like to look at are the attitude, the birthday number, and the life path number. These numbers will also belong to anybody born on this day in this year. And then the second three numbers are the universal year, month, and day, which don't necessarily have any association for anything in general. It's specific to this year and month and everything. So when we look at the attitude number kind of shows us where we're going to have problems, where difficulties are going to come up today. And it's got the 14-5. And so 5 brings up issues of, wanting and having freedom, and then being really rigid. These undertones come from 14, which is about responsibility and, kind of the right use of your time and your energy. And so when you fritter things away, and when you're wasteful, and when you don't pay attention, and maybe when you kind of just are reckless, this is where 5 is not so good. You can run out of resources, you can run out of energy, you can find yourself, in a hard spot. In the tarot, 5 is also, if you look at all the suits, it is a spot that it's one of the pivot spots where things just kind of, whoa, like holy crap, before they make a change from 6 to 10. So something to think about. 5 usually gets a really bad rap because it's associated with, big things. It can be big changes. It can be big losses. And who likes losing? Nobody likes losing. But the reality is everything has a place. Everything has a time. And sometimes the big major losses and difficulties that come with 5 can kind of teach you to maybe be a little more watchful and do a little better. Now, to get through today, you need to hone in on that space of responsibility. You need to take care of business. You realize that maybe you've made mistakes, maybe things haven't worked out, and it's time to buckle down and do something about it. 6 is very loving and caring and nurturing. It is also very responsible. And so owning up to your mistakes is really important here. By acknowledging them, you can actually use the mistakes and, learn from them. Ignoring them, on the other hand, doesn't tend to work out so well. So there's that. The final number for today is the life path number, and that is the overarching kind of theme and thing that you want to focus on. So today, that number is 9. 9 reminds us that we're coming to the end. You have to wrap shit up, take care of things, because you can't start anything new until you come to a point where you've addressed where you've been. It also reminds you to kind of remember where you came from, which also keys into that wrapping up of things. And know that if you want to start something new, you've got to take care of business. So this is kind of the last call for get shit done. And the next 3 numbers we like to look at, again, are the universal year. So the universal year, we've been talking about this all year, is 4. This is a time to build, to restructure, to set foundations, to get really solid in what you want to do, so that you can then take the risks next year and go to bigger and brighter horizons. What's important about 4 is that this energy, because it's for the year, is diffused across the entirety of the year. When we look at the universal month number for August, we're looking at the number of 3. So this is about in the scope of those giant plans that we're making and drawing up and considering. It's time to be creative. It's time to communicate with other people, work together, form little groups, get some other ideas and opinions, bounce ideas off of one another. And then finally, we have the energy of 9 roll back around for today. So know that brainstorming has to come to a close at points. And so this is one of those days during the month that you're going to want to kind of put a period on things and say, okay, all right, this is what we've done, this is how far we've come, and then set yourself up for what you would like to do next. Because you can't just keep going through things constantly. That's not how things work. So there we go. How it all comes together. When we consider this energy of the harvest, it's what you've done up to this point in the year is important. You're drawing your resources, you're drawing the harvest in, you're drawing in the gifts, you're reevaluating, you know, where you are so that you can kind of wrap things up a little easier. You're acknowledging where you've come from, and kind of just, you know, it's a time to take a step back and kind of enjoy what you've done up to this point and how far you've gotten, because it's really easy to kind of skip over these things and then just look at the end result and say, oh, well, maybe I'm not where I wanted to be, and so this isn't good enough. Well, you're probably farther off than you were when you started, and that's really what matters. So, you know, what structures have you built? What plans have you made? How far have you gotten? Like, you know, and what has this information told you? Like, what else do you have to do now? Is there more that you need to worry about? Is there another direction you need to go in? You know, these things are all very, very valuable. So there's also a sense of power and agency with the information that you're gaining, as well as a reminder of what you're working for. So it can be easy as we go towards the end to kind of get tired as well. So this is the time to get your second wind and say, okay, hey, we're almost done. Let's keep going. And as with any harvest, you need to embrace the change, the shifting of things as they come and they go, as things come to a close, as you prepare for new things to happen. But don't forget to take care of business and handle what's left. So while we need to think ahead and look at the future and look what's coming up, don't let that detract from what you're doing right now. You know, the harvest, you got to pay attention to what you're doing, or you might miss something. And yet when we're thinking about visioning, you need to look at your ultimate goal and what you want to create, and kind of the end game that you have in mind. So as for me, I'm taking another day off. Listen, this is like the third day off this week now. I don't usually have so many days off. It's really weird. I'm not wholly comfortable with this many days off. Because it's a Sabbath and it's a major holiday, I'm going to be updating all of my altars. I did my studio share video early, so what you will be seeing in the studio share is in the video are the altars as they were yesterday. What I'm probably going to do is do a before and after picture of all the altars before I clean them up. Gotta, like, my storage is in like weird places, so like that's a whole thing. Usually I like to refresh things. I'll change it up a bit, dust, obviously make new offerings as needed. I've got a bunch on my working altar that are offerings I need to keep kind of close by, because I don't want to forget about them. And I don't have another place to put them, so I've just been kind of putting them up on the altar, but I might move them around a bit, I think. Yeah. Because I want to have the working space, like, sort of, yeah, I think I gotta change a bunch of stuff. That sounds good. So, yeah, okay. All right, that's probably what's gonna happen. But, yeah, any changes I'll make, I'll notate them so you'll be able to see them. I don't know, because I already did the video. I think I might have said there's no pictures. No, there are pictures, because I said I was going to show all the individual things that we tore through. Okay, yeah, whatever. My brain is, like, kind of fried. This is like the fourth video I've done today. I've got one more to do. You know, barring my phone, like, being okay with that. I might have to charge it. I'm like, wait, I don't know. That being said, yeah, I'm gonna try and take the day to, like, relax. I don't know how well that's gonna work. I'm really bad at relaxing. I've got a class today, so there's that. Yeah, so that doesn't make for, like, much in the way of relaxing, like, at all. But, you know, whatever. So, no mas. Okay, that's everything. All right, well, if you, let's see, are there any pictures today? There's no pictures today. My question for you then, okay, is how are you celebrating this first harvest? What are you bringing in? What fruits of your labors do you have? Do you have any bread? You can have some bread. I like bread. Bread's yay. body doesn't like bread. I love bread. So bad. Of course, my links to my websites, Aridy's Hand, Danaus Divine, are linked below. As well as a little reminder, I forgot to say this yesterday, but readings. Hey, so the solar holidays, lunar holidays, Celtic tree months, I like to remind people that I do readings. So if you wanted a reading for the holiday season and kind of looking ahead, now's a great time to get one. I mean, any time's a great one. Is a great time, but now's a really great time because I'm telling you, reminding you. So there's that. You can also find all my active social media linked below: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where I like to hang out the most. And because you stayed till the end of the video, it is Thursday. Tomorrow is, it's Finished Object Friday is what it's supposed to be. Usually we do reviews. So technically I have several things that I finished. So I finished portions of a project that I'm working on, but not the entire project itself. And I figured that was relevant and that mattered. So I'm going to share it with you. Yeah. That's everything. Sounds like it's everything, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, sure, whatever. That being said, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a patron. It means a lot to me that you care what I do. I'm happy to share these things with you, and I'm so glad you're here. So, without further ado, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, and goodbye. And I will see you tomorrow, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed sweetlings. Toodles!